Pursuant to House Resolution 723, the gentleman from Arizona, Mr. Crane, and a member opposed each will control 5 minutes. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Arizona.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I rise this morning in support of this amendment, which eliminates nearly $3 million in funding for the Commission on Security and Cooperation in Europe, salaries and expenses. This funding goes towards functions such as gender equality, and there has even been a gender action plan, a gender unit in the Secretariat appointed a special representative to the chairperson in office on gender issues. The work of this commission would probably be better done by an independent think tank than by a congressionally funded commission. With the current debt of the U.S. being $33 trillion, we must look for ways to cut unnecessary spending. The work of this commission is not unique to it, and similar consolation, if necessary, could be found in third-party sources that do not affect the already distressed national debt. I urge passage of my amendment to prevent this unnecessary funding and work towards getting our fiscal house in order, and I yield back.
The gentleman yields. For what purpose does the gentleman from California seek recognition?
I rise in opposition to this amendment.
And the gentleman is recognized.
Mr. Chairman, the OSCE is the world's largest regional security organization and has been critical in addressing the violent aggression of Russia. The OSCE is actively engaged in conflict prevention, conventional arms control, peacekeeping, promoting good governance and human rights, the rule of law programming, also border security measures, counter-narcotics work, efforts to combat organized crime, anti-corruption and anti-money laundering activities, and election support. The OSCE is currently leading a special monitoring mission in Ukraine. This mission is an unarmed civilian mission tasked to observe and to report on the situation resulting from ongoing Russian aggression, to facilitate dialogue among all parties to restore peace, P-E-A-C-E, and to monitor and support the implementation of the ceasefire and other tenets of the Minsk peace agreements. It's the only nonpartisan international body that maintains a continuous presence at the line of contact between the Ukrainian armed forces and Russian-led forces in eastern Ukraine. Peace in Ukraine, that's P-E-A-C-E, will be through organizations like the OSCE. I'm completely perplexed by my colleagues and can't figure out why they would not find this a good investment of taxpayer dollars. I urge my colleagues to oppose this amendment, and I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentlewoman has the only time.
I yield now 2.5 minutes to the gentleman from South Carolina, Mr. Wilson.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As we're here today, we appreciate so much the leadership of Chairman Mario Diaz-Balart. He is so correct earlier to identify the appeasement of Afghanistan has endangered all American families in the continuing global war on terrorism, with Afghanistan sadly now becoming a safe haven for terrorists. As the chairman of the Helsinki Commission, I strongly support the continuation of its very meaningful work. For nearly 50 years, the U.S. Helsinki Commission, uniquely made of senators and members of Congress with rotating chairmanship of House and Senate members, has worked to promote American values in Europe and the former Soviet Union. It is a small professional staff, support bicameral, bipartisan commissioners to advance American national security and national interests of human rights, military security, and economic cooperation in 57 countries. It is a fulfillment of the dream of Barry Goldwater and Ronald Reagan of why not victory. The Commission has worked with fellow legislative members from each country to ensure respect for freedom of religion, to defend those persecuted from criticizing dictatorships, to fight against corruption, and to prevent human trafficking. It is a vital forum in the ongoing worldwide conflict between dictators with rule of gun who are opposing democracies with rule of law. We must stand and meet the challenge of power coming from the barrel of a gun. Commissioners have worked with countries to update their religious laws to allow smaller Christian and other groups to practice freely. Commissioners have put together numerous legislative proposals to counter corruption, including by highlighting the priority of anti-corruption in U.S. foreign policy, providing further authorities to end the impunity enjoyed by kleptocrats and preventing them from entering the United States, and highlighting the work of U.S. law enforcement to recover stolen money hidden in America. Commissioners have authored much of the anti-human trafficking legislation here, and with the leadership of Chairman Chris Smith, and set standards for preventing human trafficking internationally. Most recently, the Commission has focused on supporting Ukrainian children who have been forcibly relocated by kidnapping or who have experienced extreme trauma of war. With only a small staff, the Commission has had a large impact. It is crucial that this important work continues and the Commission be funded for its future. I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields. The gentlewoman is recognized.
Yield back. Let's see, do we have any? Yes, I will yield to 30 seconds to Mr. Smith.
The gentleman yields.
For yielding.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you. I rise in opposition to this amendment. I associate myself with the remarks of my distinguished chairman. I've been on the Helsinki Commission, served on it since 1982. It's a remarkable commission. We get political prisoners out of prison. We did it during the Soviet times. Worked with Steny Hoyer, he was chair, I was chair, he was ranking member. It is truly a bipartisan commission that promotes democracy, human rights, and as my good friend mentioned a moment ago, we also combat horrible things like human trafficking. I'm the special rep for human trafficking, and we are making a difference. So
the gentleman's time
vote
is
no on this amendment.
The gentleman's time has expired. The gentlewoman from California is recognized.
I yield back.
The gentlewoman yields. The question is on the amendment.